any restriction on shooting coyotes?
I'll defer to our regulatory agent. We are non-regulatory. We provide service. Coyotes are DNR material.
We have a coyote season that runs from coyotes. Season is an open season, but to use a light on a coyote to hunt coyotes at night, it's from January 1st to July 31st. And you can use any colored light. You can't use the clear light. Any colored light you can use to hunt coyotes at night. And you have to use 22 caliber rifle or number 2 shot in a shotgun. But that's the time period. And then when there's no small game season in, which small game season goes out February 28th, you have to hunt coyotes in open fields. You can't be in the woods with a uncased gun after February 28th or whenever small game season goes out. But that's about the only regulations we have on coyotes. I know, I don't know what y'all's plan are. I know back 23 years ago, the county commission had a bounty on them. And I've had several people ask me, if they would put the bounty on them again.
What do you think of that, Howard? Do you think it's something the commission ought to consider? Do you think it's a problem?
I think we had it on, Albert Wilfong was on the county commission back then. I just came back here 23 years ago as a DNR officer. And I think in a 3-year period they paid for 3 coyotes. And it was $50 on each one of them. And after that 3-year period was up, they never had them anymore. So it would probably be, I'd like to see it tried, I wouldn't want to put you in a financial position, but maybe during the coyote season from January to July 31st, put a bounty on them.
Yeah, I'd like to see it tried. I'd like to see it tried too. I mean,
may I comment on that?
Yeah,
because I know a lot about it. Okay. One of the things, again, you need to do is clarify your objectives. Know what you're doing. If you guys want to put a bounty on things, I'm pretty close to retirement and be looking for my second career. And in fact, before I went for USDA, I worked private beaver control in Arkansas. And the guy I worked for had a freezer full of beaver tails. And he had broke the county bounty funds in 2 or 3 counties in Mississippi with Arkansas beaver tails. Fraud goes hand in hand with bounty. And when it comes down to your objective, if you remember what I mentioned a moment ago, what we're doing is specifically to stop livestock predation. Bounty may be useful if you could put a high enough bounty and you had unlimited funds at population suppression. But we're probably talking a coyote per every 2 miles, 2 square miles. So you can kind of guess how many coyotes you have in the state, or in the county here. To affect that population whatsoever, you would have to remove 70% of those coyotes every year for 40 years running. Any year that you drop below 70% removal of those coyotes, the population would rebuild. At the end of 40 years, when you stopped, coyotes from surrounding counties would move right in and the population would rebuild. Bounty is a good way to spend your money, but it's not going to save diddly squat in livestock, and you probably really aren't going to affect the coyote population. And if the last time you tried it you only took 3, I've taken 3 in one day out of one field. So, bounty is an idea that is tossed around, tossed around, tossed around. But when you really think it through from a biological and an economical standpoint, it really doesn't make sense.
Yeah, there would be a problem, I understand, with people from other counties bringing them in, and because we're paying a bounty for them, getting money for them, that would be a problem. It would be hard to regulate that.
And, down. Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. And actually paying for the coyotes, we'd have to, I'd have to check the coyotes or whatever and mark them so we didn't pay for the same coyote twice. That happened, but he's right. These other counties would be bringing coyotes to this county because of the bounty, so that could be a problem also.
I'll give you an idea. If numbers are, I'm
I
sorry.
got to point out the numbers you
Yeah.
mentioned. We have 941 square miles at a coyote every 2. That's 470 coyotes. 70% of that, 330 coyotes.
And that's if you could get people to do it.
If that were $50 a piece, it's $16,500 annually.
I could kill a lot of coyotes for that. We have a farm right down the road here that this year we took over 60 coyotes on that one farm. And what you need to understand is that 60 coyotes were not just on that farm. Those 60 coyotes came from miles and miles and miles around. So you not only have the coyotes in this county, you have the coyotes from all your adjacent counties and more. Our research biologist had a coyote up in Nicholas County that we had a caller on. That coyote decided to take a walkabout and left his home range up around Canvas, and he went all the way to Monroe County, 70 some miles, turned around, walked straight back to his home range. These animals have no problem whatsoever. In fact, the vast majority of research coyotes that I've collared for WVU and other entities, the vast majority of them, before we were done with the coyote or the study, moved anywhere from 30 to 40 miles. So you're dealing with animals here that are very, very mobile, and as soon as you start removing that supposed 70% in an area as small as Pocahontas County, they fill right back in. So it biologically and economically, again, it sounds great on the surface, but it really doesn't protect your county's livestock. And you know, the livestock is what gets interjected into the economy, which rolls over tax dollars. And I'm preaching to the choir. You guys know all about that stuff. So. Are there any other questions I can answer?
Is there any benefits to having coyotes in the ecosystem? Do they eat rodents or anything?
Well, you know, everybody kind of has their own opinions. I'm a biologist, besides being a trapper and a hunter and everything else, one who loves wildlife, and one who loves to trap wildlife from a personal standpoint. But if you look at our ecosystem, the East at one point in time, a couple hundred years ago, had wolves, and wolves were removed. I'm not saying that was good or bad, but what that did was it opened up a spot in the ecosystem for a canine predator that's larger than a fox. And coyotes basically have filled that niche, and they are capable of killing deer, killing larger prey than foxes can. Is that beneficial? That starts to come down to one's personal viewpoint. You know, if you're a deer hunter or you're one who is making an income based on tourist dollars coming from hunters, you might consider that an impact. If you're a farmer with an alfalfa field, you might consider those coyotes doing you a favor. So again, that's somewhat of perspective there.